When you find yourself co-parenting with someone manifesting narcissistic tendencies, you're no longer operating in a domain of shared responsibility. You're operating in a psychological battleground. And this is not merely a struggle over logistics, who picks up the children when and from where. No, it's a war over narratives, over perceptions, over emotional dominance. And so enters what's been coined the gray rock method, a strategic maneuver that demands you strip your interactions of emotional content to render yourself unappetizing to the manipulator, like a bland meal to a man addicted to spice. But the question remains, does it work when the narcissist is your co-parent? Because you're not just cutting contact, you're raising children, together, at least on paper. The gray rock method, in its essence, is an emotional discipline. It requires that you become dull, unreactive, devoid of intrigue. Why? Because narcissists, particularly those on the more malignant end of the spectrum, are parasitic in their attention-seeking. They feed off emotional provocation the way a predator feeds off the chase. So, if you react with anger, they win. If you plead, they win. If you defend, justify, or explain yourself endlessly, they win. Gray rocking is about refusing to play the game. You become boring, predictable, emotionally inert. But let me be very clear. This is not cowardice. It is volitional disengagement. It's the conscious choice to stop pouring fuel into a fire that was never yours to contain. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, that is, in fact, the most strategic move you can make. Except, what happens when you're forced to share custody of a child with them? Here's where it becomes exceedingly complex. In most cases of narcissistic abuse, the antidote is simple, at least conceptually. You leave, you cut contact, you heal. But when a child is involved, you can't leave, not entirely. You can't go no contact when you're sharing birthdays, holidays, pediatrician visits, and parent-teacher interviews. So you adapt. But here's the brutal truth, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The narcissist doesn't just want to be acknowledged. They want to dominate. They want control. They want to rewrite reality. And you, if you're not careful, become the pawn, the scapegoat, or worse, the villain in your own child's story. So, does the gray rock method work under these circumstances? Only if you understand that this is not about passivity. This is not about avoiding confrontation. This is about strategic composure, and you must develop it with surgical precision. Let's make this practical. First, never communicate verbally if you can avoid it. Stick to written messages only. No emotional tone, no sarcasm, no passive aggression. Why? Because written communication slows down the manipulation game. It gives you time to think, to breathe, to craft something measured, and most importantly, it gives you proof. You're not just being calm, you're being court admissible. Second, responses must be boring, brief, and bureaucratic. Think of yourself as a mid-level government clerk. Gray rock is not silence. It is controlled information delivery. They say, "You're always making things difficult. You're emotionally unstable. No wonder the kids prefer being here." You say, "Drop-off is at 4 p.m. as per the schedule." That's it. End of sentence. No paragraph-long rebuttal. Third, predictable is powerful. Narcissists thrive in chaos, because chaos creates confusion, and confusion creates control. So what do? You become a human metronome. Calm, predictable, emotionally consistent, no matter how provocative their behavior becomes. That kind of stability? It's not just annoying to them, it's infuriating. And that's when you know it's working. Fourth, do not gray rock your children. This is critical. The gray rock method is a shield against manipulation. It is not a relational strategy for parenting. Your children need warmth, responsiveness, empathy. They need to see what healthy regulation looks like because they are witnessing emotional chaos elsewhere. Be the opposite, be the anchor. Now, let's talk about the inevitable backlash. When you stop engaging, the narcissist often escalates. They interpret your silence as defiance. They accuse you of alienation. They twist your emotional boundaries into narratives of neglect. Why? Because you've denied them the thing they crave most, significance in your emotional world. And so, they go after your reputation, your children, your peace. This is why you must pair the gray rock method with a strong legal backbone, meticulous documentation, and a deep, unshakable understanding of your own integrity. You will be accused, but you must not become what you are accused of. What you are doing is refusing to play the role the narcissist has written for you in their psychological drama. You're not stonewalling. You're not being passive-aggressive. You're demonstrating a higher order of discipline, one rooted in sovereignty. You are modeling to your children, to yourself, and to the system that you will not be manipulated into chaos. That's not weakness. That's not cowardice. That's maturity. And it is unbelievably powerful because when you remove yourself from the narcissist stage, the performance begins to unravel. They lose their script, they lose the audience, and eventually they lose control. Not because you fought harder, but because you refuse to perform. So should you use the gray rock method? Yes, but use it intelligently. This isn't about becoming numb. It's about choosing what gets your emotional energy. And in a co-parenting dynamic with a narcissist, that's not just self-care, it's strategic survival. The gray rock method isn't about being a rock. It's about becoming unshakable in the face of emotional tyranny. It's about recognizing that you don't owe emotional access to someone just because you share DNA with their child. It's about being a lighthouse for your children, not a storm. And the more you embody that calm, the more they'll learn that chaos doesn't win, character does.